Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. This video we're doing the second Planeswalker deck from Hour of Devastation, which is the man of the hour himself, which is Nicol Bolas, the Deceiver. So this one is actually a real, it stands out amongst all the other Planeswalker decks because it's actually triple coloured. We haven't had a triple coloured deck for ages. I guess Khan's would have been the last triple coloured deck we had, and it's here, and it's with one of my favourite characters from the Magic the Gathering universe, which is big old Nicky B himself, like the absolute troll lord of the multiverse. So the deck list here, we've got 21 creatures, 9 instants, 3 artifacts, 26 lands, and of course a single Planeswalker right there at the 8 at the 8 point on the mana curve there, Nicky B the Deceiver. So let's take a look at the cards. So here he is, old Nicky B. So 5 a blue, a black, and a red, so 8 mana. So he is, I think, by far the most expensive out of all the Planeswalkers in these Planeswalker decks. Nissa was actually 7 in the last video, wasn't she? But yeah, Nicky B, quite rightly, is the most expensive. And so he comes in with 5 loyalty, which is a little low. You'd kind of want a bit more 8 for casting 8, but he does have a +3, so he does go up to 8 loyalty straight away. So his first ability is +3, like I said. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. Yeah, that's okay. It's taking something away at least. I would say there's kind of like 2 ways of it going, isn't there? Like this late in the game when you drop him, say you drop him turn 8, like you perfectly curve out and you drop him turn 8, and you use that +3. Now it's going to go one of 2 ways, isn't it? They're either going to have loads of stuff and they don't mind sacrificing like a creature or like discarding a card that maybe they don't need anymore, or they're not going to have anything, like you've really ground them down, which you might, because it's you're playing Grixis colors, so you got a bunch of removal. Either way, it's like it presents like a really horrible choice, doesn't it? So I think that ability is okay. The -3 is to destroy a creature and then draw a card, which is really solid. Just straight up kill them, no restrictions or anything, and draw a card, which is quite nice. And then his big ultimate, -11, does 7 damage to each opponent. You draw 7 cards. That's obviously like that's like, I feel, I want to say, like, out of all these Planeswalker decks we've looked at so far, that's the first one that feels like a really good like ultimate. To do a load of damage to each opponent and then essentially draw a whole new hand is really, really strong. And I know you're casting him turn 8, maybe a bit earlier. You do have a few mana rocks in here, but that's one that I feel like that's worth getting towards. Like all the others we've looked at kind of feel like not as good as this one. Overall I like Nicky B. Like, he is the budget Nicky B. If you can't get any of his ridiculous expensive versions, like was it like God PHARAOH or Dragon God or whatever, like he's got a bunch of versions, but yeah, Nicky B's great. Really looking forward to talking about the dual deck where he's in at some point, but that's months down the line. Anyway, so here's his signature cards. So we've got 2 Visage of Bolas. So 4 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, search your library or graveyard for Nicky B the Deceiver. Put it into hand, shuffle, and taps give you blue, black, or red. So yeah, it's a mana rock. That's fine. Actually, at 4, this is actually cost us okay, I think, for a mana rock, because most mana rocks are usually like 3, aren't they? Like like 2 or 3 or something. So for this to give you 3 colours and also do a search, that's actually pretty well costed, I think. So we've got 3 Wasp of the Bitter End. So this is, I think, the most like narrow, useless of all the Planeswalker buddy cards. So it's 1 in the black for a 2/1 flyer, which is actually not terrible, right? That's actually not too bad. Like a 2 mana for a 2/1 flyer in black. That's not terrible, and no drawback or anything. But the ability is so niche. Whenever you cast a Bolas Planeswalker spell, you may sacrifice it if you do destroy a target creature. So, like all the others, they just care about, like, oh, as long as you control a Planeswalker, you get this extra ability. But this is like, the window on this is so small. Like you have to have this out and then cast your 1 Nicky B card, and then you get to do this ability. But at the very least, at least it's a 2/1 flyer until that happens. But yeah, you know what I mean. This is such like a niche ability. Like the window of opportunity to use it is so small. And then 4 Zealot of the God PHARAOH. 3 in a red for a 4/3, which is okay. It has ability 4 in a red, does 2 damage to target opponent. Like perfectly okay, perfect. A little expensive there on that activated ability, but like it's fine. It's a good mana sink, I suppose, and like it's a common. It's perfectly fine. Right, so then the rest deck. is kind of like leans towards a lot of these zombies, which show off the new afflict mechanic. So afflict is an ability where it has a number associated with it, as we see on the Amit Eternal here, has afflict 3. So whenever the creature becomes blocked, the defending player loses 3 life. So do they either block and lose the life directly from afflict, or do they let them through and probably take more damage? So again, really plays into Nikki B just being a real, just a real piece of work by like, yeah, well, you're gonna take some damage from it in some way. So yeah, Amit Eternal, 2 and a black with afflict 3. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a -1/-1 counter on Amit Eternal, and whenever Amit Eternal deals combat damage to a player, remove all the counters from it. So yeah, it being only 3 mana for a 5/5 with afflict 3 is pretty strong, I think. The nice thing is those -1/-1 counters don't affect its afflict value, so that's always good, I think. We've got 2 Manticore Eternals, 3 in double red for a 5/4 with afflict 3. Has to attack every turn if able. Yeah, it's fine, kind of standard red creature this size with has to always attack, downside. That's okay. But at least forces you to be aggressive with it. And with it having afflict as well, like there's never I feel like there's never a bad time to attack with it, because I say it's either getting through unblocked and doing 5 damage, or it's being blocked by whatever, and they're still defending players still losing 3 life. And then Kenra Eternal, 1 and a black for a 2/2 with afflict 1. So is this the first time that black's got a 2/2 for 2 with a... No, it can't be the first time. It can't be the first time black's got a bear with upside. But anyway, this one's I think is pretty good, having afflict on it. That's pretty good. I like that. Yeah, nice to have 3 of those. And then 2 Eternal of Harsh Truths, 2 and a blue for 1/3 with afflict 2. Whenever it attacks and isn't blocked, draw a card. So again, adding a whole nother layer on the do you block or not? Because do you let it through and take 1 and let me draw a card, or are you going to block it and lose 2 life from afflict 2? So yeah, really really nice. Really like all these creatures with afflict. Then we've got 2 Marauding Bone Slashers, 2 and a black for a 3/3. Can't block unless you control another zombie. Such a minimal downside. You've got a bunch of zombies in the deck anyway, and you're going to be attacking with it as a 3/3 for 3 anyway. So yeah, really not much of a downside. 2 Burning Fist Minotaur, 1 a red for a 2/1 with first strike. You can spend 1 a red, discard a card to give it +2/+0 to turn. So yeah, this is okay. The fact you can sort of pump up. You don't really, from what I remember, you don't have any real graveyard interaction or anything like that. So, but +2/+0 is a pretty significant buff, and it already has first strike. That's the nice thing, I suppose. It's still a 2/1 first strike for 2, which is perfectly fine, and the ability is just it's good if you need it. Yeah. And then 2 Aerial Guides, 2 and a blue for a 2/2 flying. When it attacks, gives another attacking creature flying to end turn. Real shame that this is kind of because the Nissa deck that we looked at last video had this as well, so it's a real shame there's actually kind of a repeat between the 2 decks, and there was definitely other options out there, I suppose, but at least this gives evasion to because everything else hasn't got flying, so yeah, this is okay, I suppose. And then we're in Grixis color, so that does mean a bunch of removal. So we've got 3 final rewards, 4 and a black, instant speed, just exile a creature. Yep, just really, really straightforward. It is obviously super expensive, but it's a common, it's an exile, so yeah, it's okay, I suppose. 2 Open Fire, aka Bad Lightning Strike. 2 and a red, does 3 damage to target creature or player. Yeah, I mean, it's just overcosted Lightning Strike, isn't it? But I think it was the meta at the time was just slower. Maybe Amonkhet was maybe a slower block and stuff. So yeah, it's still direct burn. It's still obviously okay, isn't it? And then we've got 2 Magma Sprays. 1 red, does 2 damage to target creature, and if it would die that turn, it gets exiled instead. Yep, that's perfectly okay. And 2 Supernatural Stamina, 1 black mana. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains, when it dies, return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. So yeah, this is nice on the all the Eternals you've got who get through, and if they get blocked, they're going to come back, and yeah, it's just a good little combat trick, isn't it? And then the other rare is Throne of the God Pharaoh, so 2 mana for a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the number of tapped creatures you control, which is, this coming down for 2 is really, really mean, I think. Yeah, I like this. This is really nice. And of course, you're going to be attacking, I suppose, all the Eternals, because there's no downside to attacking with the Eternals. They're either getting through and doing damage, or they're getting blocked and they're losing life anyway, and then they're tapped, and then bam, Throne of the God Pharaoh kicks in. So yeah, this is good. I like this. And then we've got 4 Crypt of the Eternals. So when it ends the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Taps give you 1 colour, so you can spend 1 to filter out into blue, black, or red. This is a really nice inclusion, I think. 4 Cinder Barons enters the battlefield tapped and gives you black or red. Yep, that's fine, because I think black or red, I imagine, must be the most dominant colours in the deck. And then 5 islands, 6 swamps, and 7 mountains. Now, I do like to present these videos like as accurate as possible. Like, if you open the box, this is, you know, the artwork presented is what you would see. But I couldn't resist the chance not to show off the Hour of Devastation Nicol Bolas lands with his horns up on the horizon on each of them. So you wouldn't have had these in the deck, I don't think. But I say just too good an opportunity not to show them off. So let's talk about what could have been. For the most part, I think it's okay. There are, I mean, like the removal is what it is. Like, that was the removal that was available. There's a few random cards, like the Aerial Guide, I guess, was kind of like a bit, I suppose. Was it the Burning Fist Minotaur? That was okay. But yeah, for the most part, I think the card selection is okay. So let's maybe talk about what could have been. So I thought Consigned to Oblivion could have fit in here. So it's a bounce spell. Either returns a non-land permanent to owner's hand, and then when it's in your graveyard, you do the Oblivion side, which is makes an opponent discard 2 cards, which is fine. You know, the ideal thing being if you could do them at the same time, you could make them potentially discard the thing you returned. Wildfire Eternal here is a potential alternate rare. So 3 in a red for a 1/4 with Afflict 4, which is huge. So, like, again, like, really mean choice here, because when it attacks and isn't blocked, you can cast an instant sorcery card from your hand without paying its mana cost. And you've got like quite a lot of expensive spells in the deck. So again, this presents the really horrible choice of, like, do they let it through, take 1, and let you get the free cast, or block it and lose 4? So yeah, love it. Really, really like it. And then the other thing as well, so Proven Combatant is just kind of here to represent all the. Actually, I don't think there were many. Maybe blue, maybe red or black cards with Eternalize. But there are definitely a few blue ones. So yeah, Proven Combatant, 1 blue mana for a 1/1, but it has Eternalize for 4 and double blue. And Eternalize is this ability where, if it's in your graveyard, you can pay the Eternalize cost, exile it, and then you create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie in addition to, like, its other types and stuff. So yeah, really, really fun ability. Just, you know, you have them, you know, waiting there, and then you pop them out, and then suddenly you've got a really big zombie. So yeah, really just there to stand in for, like, the other, like, Eternalized creatures that maybe could have been in the deck. As I say, I don't think there were really any in red or black there. I think they were mostly in blue, green, and white, I suppose. But anyway, but yeah, that's just some thoughts there. Yeah, so overall, there's a lot of favoritism going here. I really like this deck because it's Nicol Bolas, to say, who's one of my favorite characters in the setting. So I like this deck, and even then, like, I think the cards in here are really fun. Like, I do like all the stuff with Afflict, and yeah, I think it might struggle a bit because, you know, it is kind of maybe a greedy mana curve, and, like, you don't have too much ramp, and obviously Nicol Bolas is expensive, and, like, the removal's expensive, so there's maybe a lot of things going against it. But I really like it, and I'd like to know what you think about this one as well. So if you have any thoughts or stories or comments or opinions about the deck or any of the cards in it, stick a comment below. Like, I'd really like to know what people think of, like, Afflict as a mechanic, because I think it's really nice. It makes combat, like, really interesting, and, like, really, really mean as well. Presents, like, such a mean choice. So I'd like to hear what people think about that. So yeah, stick a comment below. I'll give those a read. But yeah, we're now done with Amonkhet. We've zipped through that. So yeah, in the next video, we're going to move on to looking at Ixalan and start looking at some dinosaurs and pirates and all that good stuff. So I'll see you then. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.